What's up YouTube? It's Juice Beats, and I'm back again with another race video. This one is the Max Series race in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and it's on the Rock Hill Criterium course. So this is the same course that I was at when I did the Hencappy earlier in the year. Now some stats for this race. We were 24.5 miles an hour. I averaged 341 watts. That's a 3.23 watts per kilogram for me. My normalized power was 372 watts. My max was 1447. The course is a 1.1 mile course, and we did about 13 laps, which came out to close to 14 miles or so. So I got a good clip in and a good start here, a good strong start, and I immediately get behind this guy. But he kind of flicks me in front, so I'm not doing too many watts here at the beginning. I'm just kind of coasting down this hill. I gain a lot of momentum going down this hill pretty easily here. Now once we hit this uphill here, I'm going to be hitting this uphill and you'll see my watts kind of spike up here. So to be able to keep up with everybody and also keep speed, I've got to push out an enormous amount of watts. So I'm hitting over 700 here, and then somewhere here in the middle I hit just over 800, just a little bit there. So definitely have to put out a lot of watts, especially for my size. Now at the start of the race here, I am trying my best to stay close to the front. Now you'll see this guy kind of attack and go ahead a little bit here, but I am on the front and just trying to stay close so that I know where things are. And if anybody else tries to attack, or if anybody tries to bridge this gap here, that I'm going to be able to respond pretty quickly at that point. I didn't want to sit towards the back too much just because of the yo-yo effect, and on this course with the undulating hills and even that big hill, I just didn't want to sit towards the back too much, because some of these guys are pretty strong in this field and they could take off, and not sure if I'd be able to respond at that point. So here we go. Here's the second lap. We're starting to pick up speed here. You can kind of see in the video where guys started to take off, and it looks like they wanted to kind of bridge up to the guy that attacked pretty early on here. I kind of fall back a few places, but really I'm just kind of conserve energy here and sit in just a little bit more. But also in doing that, going downhill at my size, I pick up a lot of steam very easily, and I'm able to kind of coast down this hill here. And not intentionally bringing everybody to this guy, but yeah, that's kind of what happened. Everybody kind of got behind me at this point, and I wish I had a rear view camera to be able to show that, but I kind of glanced back just a little bit here, and I was able to see that everybody was kind of just drafting off me at this point. And I'm not putting out a ton of watts or anything. I mean, the hill definitely lets you coast pretty quickly down there, and we're able to catch up pretty quickly to this guy that went off the front here early. Now here we go, going up this hill once again and putting out about the same amount of watts or so. Maybe a little bit less on this one, since I am drafting a bit more here and I'm not out front, so I'm not having to put out as much watts. And the hill is steep, but not so steep that I'm not able to draft. So I was able to kind of draft at that point there. So here we go on this back stretch here, and sitting in this draft, and the guy at the front kind of pulls off to the side. He doesn't want to be out front, and neither does anybody else. So this was kind of a funny situation where we all kind of slowed down a bit. Nobody wanted to take the front at this point, and I certainly didn't. I just wanted to sit in and kind of draft off everybody. So yeah, so that's what's kind of happening here. But then this guy finally takes off, and just kind of following behind on the wheels here. Now there's a little bit of a gap that opens up right here after the lap, but not too far, and I push a little bit of watts here just to catch back up a little bit. So I'm right back with the group of four that kind of not really attacked, but just kind of took off at the front a little bit. So my strategy in this one was mainly, there was a couple riders that I knew from either videos online or because I've raced with them before. There was actually one particular rider that won at Winston-Salem that was in this race, and I knew that he was going to be strong, or one of the strongest in the peloton. So I wanted to make sure I kept an eye on where he was at, because at any moment he could strike and could attack the peloton, and I know he's strong enough to break away. And then my strategy kind of for the hill here, I wanted to be one of the first or one of the top people to get to it first, because I know at my size that I'm gonna have to push a lot more watts than most people to get up here quickly and keep the same speed. So if I'm getting there first, I can kind of sag back a little bit and then draft off of them coming up the hill here, and that's kind of what I do. And of course, the marked man, Jonathan, he does attack on the hill a little bit, and then the peloton responds. So everybody has responded to his attack, and they're all trying to close back in here and basically giving me a free draft right back up there. So I am sagging a bit off the back here, resting a bit. I mean, you can see I'm putting in pretty decent amount of watts, but to me, it really didn't feel all that much. Like I was getting a pretty good draft to where it didn't feel like it was hurting my legs at this point. And then you can see I kind of dropped down here on the wattage, and it's not affecting me too much. So I am sagging off the back here a little bit. Not necessarily trying to or anything like that, but I know that we're getting ready to go into this downhill, and because of the momentum that I've been getting on the downhill, I've been able to catch right back up pretty quickly without having to put in a ton of watts or anything like that. And so that's what I'm kind of doing here, conserving energy the best I can, and then as we go down this hill, I'm not putting out a ton of watts at all, and I'm able to catch right back up and be within the peloton here. Don't try this at home though, because that could get you in trouble. For this particular race, I was a little bit worried just because I know, the strong riders in this race could attack, and I didn't want that to happen. But luckily, nobody really attacked at this point with me kind of sagging towards the back. So I got lucky in that aspect. And it's kind of tough when you're a solo rider too, and you don't have a teammate or anybody that can kind of settle down those attacks. So if one did go off and I had a teammate, I may be able to kind of sag back even more and just kind of sit in the draft. But being a solo rider, if somebody attacks, I may have to respond. If I want to be, on the podium or close to it at the end. Now I got closed in a bit on this hill, and I was just trying to weave my way around, just make sure that I wasn't running into wheels, and I was still getting a clear shot just in case something were to happen here. But everybody climbed pretty steadily on that one. There wasn't any big surges or anything like that, so luckily nothing came off, and we were just able to kind of cruise up that hill a bit. Still keeping my eye out at the front while sitting back here conserving some energy. And you'll see, when I go around some of those curves and up the hill, I kind of surge over 900, maybe even 1,000 watts sometimes. But at my size and the amount of power that I have, a lot of times it really doesn't even faze me. Yeah, sure, over a long period of time, if I'm doing that too much, it will. But most of the time, I'm not really fazed by it, especially with a downhill like this where I can kind of recover. Then, I'm not being affected too much by pushing out that many watts. So when we did the Hincapie race, there was 10 to 20 mile per hour winds on this backstretch here, headwinds. So it really did hamper a lot of any attacks that anybody was trying to make, and it was a tough race because of that headwind. But in this race, we actually kind of had a tailwind going down that hill, and it turned into a crosswind here. Now, it wasn't anything like super significant or anything like that, but definitely towards the end of the race, I noticed a lot more shelter over on the right. So I am over here on the left. It's not affecting me too much. I'm just kind of drafting up the hill. But later on in the race, I do move over to the right, and I do notice a slight difference being sheltered a little bit more by the other riders on that uphill there. So we're all still kind of together, just not really taking a break, but just kind of cruising right now. I am sagging back just a little bit here, but carrying my momentum up the hill and just drafting behind these guys. Here we go, going into the sixth lap. Getting a little bit strung out here. Nobody's attacking and nobody's like speeding away or anything like that. And from what I've noticed on other videos is that no one really attacks on this downhill portion. So I definitely thought about that a little bit here. So nobody's attacking on this downhill portion, but from what I've seen from other videos, a lot of people like to attack on the uphill. And I'm a bit out of position here. We are getting kind of strung out, and we're almost single file at this point, and things are starting to move a little bit quicker. So I'm thinking maybe an attack's about to happen here, and I need to get up a little bit closer and get in with the peloton so that I'm able to respond or see that happening. The group is getting a little bit further from me than I would like. probably sagged a little bit too much. So pump up a little bit of watts here, and luckily I'm able to get back on with nobody attacking at this point. I can definitely feel that I am much stronger at the end of this year compared to obviously at the beginning of the year. But just even the last, I don't know, month or so, I don't think, a lot of times when the Peloton gets away like that, I wouldn't have been able to catch back up as quickly as I did in this race. So I know from just that aspect that I was able to, I am feeling much stronger now than I was before. We are halfway through, only a few more laps to go here, and nothing big has really happened. We had, a couple attacks early, but everything was, shut down fairly quickly. Still sitting in, still conserving energy here, and just kind of strategizing in my head, what am I going to do to get back to the front and basically just try to conserve more energy, but also be up front ready for anything here. We hit 38 miles an hour down this stretch here. Pretty fast. No attacks on this uphill still. I really expected a lot more attacks on this uphill, but I don't know. Maybe people were tired, or maybe people were kind of waiting. But it didn't happen at this point. Still conserving energy in the back. You can see my watts aren't too crazy. Cruising in behind here and in the Peloton, in the mix. I think at the beginning of the year, I was looking down at my Garmin a lot, just seeing, how fast I was going, where I was as far as heart rate, all that stuff. Worried about too much more than what was in front of me. In this race, I don't think I looked at my Garmin at all, and that definitely. I would say, if you're trying to race, I would definitely take that advice. Don't look at your Garmin at all. Look at the people in front of you. Look at how they're racing. Don't worry about all the stats, all that stuff while you're racing. You can always look at that afterwards. And I think that really helped in this. I was able to see what was going on. I wasn't worried about the speed or my watts or my heart rate. I was just kind of going off of how I felt and watching everything around me here. And here we go. This is 5 laps to go, and I've got a lot of momentum going down this hill, and I go for it. I push up over 1400 watts here, and I am going down this hill. So like I said earlier in the video, I haven't seen anybody try a attack at this point. And since I am a bit bigger than most people in the Peloton, I decided to use my momentum, get a big push, 1400 watts, and just take off at this point. So I wish I had a rear view cam. The peloton has definitely failed back behind at least a few seconds, and I am on an attack and on a breakaway by myself here. This is this is my first ever attack and first ever breakaway in a race. Wasn't necessarily planned, but I saw that opportunity and I just kind of went for it. And I was kind of thinking in the back of my head, maybe somebody will come with me or maybe they'll respond or whatever, but nobody really responded. Nobody, I guess respected the attack, and I've got a little bit of a lead here. And I don't see anybody on the left, so I'm not sure if they were just starting on the hill or not, or if they were already kind of up the hill getting ready to go around the curve, but I did not see them at this point, and I was kind of looking back. So I know I had a decent lead, but I'm not sure exactly how far, and that's why I wish I had a rear camera to be able to see how far they actually were behind me. So much for conserving energy, though. So I'm not digging in super hard or anything like that. I was just wanting to use my momentum on that downhill and just to see what would happen. And I've got a decent lead, and I'm thinking at this point, like, okay, so is anybody actually behind me? Are they close? I think I did hear them coming around the curve as I crossed the finish line there, so they weren't super far behind. But I'm also thinking, okay, well, I dug it in on this downhill the last time. Maybe I can dig it in a little bit here on this downhill and stretch the lead just a little bit more. I think it would be very tough for me to just completely break away, though. I'm not sure if I'm quite that strong yet. And you can see I'm not, I was doing, I think, 34 miles an hour on the last one, and here I'm only at about 31 or so going down this hill. I do pick up a little bit of speed, but I think I can hear them kind of gaining on me at this point here on the downhill. So it was definitely an attack, and I did get a little more than a lap lead on everybody here, or not a lead, but I did get away for about a lap or a little more than a lap. But here we go on this uphill, and this is pretty tough for me by myself here, trying to push, and you'll see. Here we go. They counterattack around me, and Peloton has caught up. And I am absolutely blitzed. Well, kind of. I felt really tired at this point, and I was kind of sagging way too far back here for comfort, and I was like, okay, they're gone now. Oh, crap. I really did think they were about to leave me behind right here, but I didn't give up here, and I got a little bit of a second wind around this curve here. So once I got around here, they weren't super far away from me, and I was like, okay, let me go ahead and dig this back out real quick. My heart rate kind of settled back a little bit, and I eventually. So right now I'm kind of still digging in just a little bit just to try to get back, but I do eventually get back on the back of the Peloton here. Took me a little bit, but luckily I had this downhill section and a lot of momentum going down it. So really with this downhill section, to be able to catch back up for me, I really didn't have to dig down super deep. I think I was, as far as watts go, I think mostly a zone 2 kind of cruise right into it. And then obviously a bit of a push up this hill just to catch back up to the back. But if somebody were to attack at this point, I probably would have been done. But nobody attacks. And I think that might have been a testament to my attack on 5 laps to go, because I did get away for about a lap and a little bit more than a lap. And I think maybe that kind of tired out the Peloton a little bit. I mean, at least I'm hoping so, because that's kind of what the attack was about. Not really trying to get away, because I don't think I'm strong enough to do that, but at least tiring some people out so that we're not getting attacks, at this point. And nobody's attacking, and we're still cruising. And I'm back on the back of the Peloton here. So now I get to sit back in the back, conserve energy. You see I'm not putting any watts in right here. Still cruising. And we're only doing about 19 miles an hour here. And I think the Peloton is definitely conserving energy as well, and everybody's kind of tired. We're going into 2 laps to go here. So 2 laps to go. I'm back on it. Don't know how we haven't been attacked, and I'm really surprised that I'm back on the back here after almost losing it. So now the strategy for the last couple laps is to obviously watch out for attacks, but conserve as much energy, because now it's looking like if there are no attacks, it's going to be a bunch sprint. And so now I'm looking to see, okay, where can I move up? Where can I position myself? And we're like 4 and 5 wide, so it's pretty tough to find a good window to be able to move up. And I don't want to move up too quickly and get into the wind, because then I'm not going to be able to conserve energy. I want to be able to conserve energy but also move up. And so right now, I guess the best option for me is just kind of sitting behind everybody. Now, like I said earlier in the video, I was over on the left side of this hill, and I was taking a little bit of wind, but obviously the crosswinds wasn't too bad. But now look at my wattage. It's definitely much less. Obviously we're going a little bit slower, but I'm conserving a lot more energy over here on the right side, not having to hit that wind and being able to draft up the hill here. And it seems like everybody is still conserving energy for the last lap here. And you'll see, you can definitely see on video here when things start to pick up. So we go around that lap rider there. Here we go. We're going to start to pick up, and you see everybody's digging in. Speed is taken up. So remember that last lap, we were doing 19, 20 miles an hour at that point. Now we're up around 26, 27. So there's that yo-yo effect. So when you're sitting in the back and people take off at the front, you're kind of the last people, or the last person to know that things are moving. And so you get that yo-yo effect where people are taking off, and then there's a hesitation, and then you finally see it at the back, and then you take off. So that's kind of what that was there. So I did have to put in a little bit of a dig right there just to get back on the back, but got this downhill section to kind of cruise in. And now I am still trying to find a window, a place where I can move up or get a better position than I'm in right now, because right now I'm sitting in the back. I've also, sitting in the back at this point in the race on this last lap, I'm anticipating an uphill attack as well. And so I'm watching out for that and trying to find my window where, if there is an attack, I can respond. Here we go on the hill, looking out. Nobody's attacking. And this is, towards the end of the hill here, people start to ramp up a little bit, but there was no attack or anything like that on the hill, which was very surprising in this race. And here is where it all goes down, right here on this back stretch. So I am still sitting in the back of the peloton, and I'm out of position, definitely, but I'm trying to find a window. We're not flying super fast yet, and we're not to the sprint point, but here we go. I kind of sag back, move over to my left, see a window on the right. I take off, and now I'm in the lead here. 31 miles an hour, and I'm about to go around this curve here. Take this curve, and I'm a little bit out of control, and I take it way too wide, and I'm out of position now. We've got guys that dive in just below me. I'm sitting in fifth wheel right here, and I just didn't have enough for the sprint. And boom, right there at the very end, by probably less than an inch, two guys hit me at the line. So I end up in seventh. Right there. That was so tough right there, because when I go back and look at it here. All right, so taking a look at it again here, I'm coming over on the left and I'm making my move. I hit close to 1300 watts just to get around everybody. And now what I should have done is got over to my right and got in front of everybody here, instead of gradually coming over, because that kind of left that little window on the right side here. And what I think I was doing was I was trying to pedal and sprint around the curve instead of just kind of gliding around it before I started my sprint. And so I got a little bit out of control, and I took it too wide, and that's what allowed everyone to kind of come underneath. So I was super close to winning this race, if I just fix the the little technical turn there and close out those gaps, and not let people get underneath me. So kind of the same thing happened when I was in Nashville as well on the last turn, and that sprint was even shorter than this one. But we had that almost 180 degree turn in that race, and I took it a little bit too wide and pushed myself out of contention to get a better place in that race. So same thing in this one, taking it too wide and a little bit out of control, and then letting people kind of undercut and sprint for the finish underneath me. So not a I'm not really sad or anything about this. I felt very, very good about this race. It felt very strong. I'm sad that I wasn't able to complete it at the end, but I'm very happy that I was able to get 7th place in this race, and top half, top 10 in this race. I think it was out of 21 or 22. So I do feel really, really good about my racing in this one. Definitely would have liked to get on the podium or even first place, since I was just that close to being there. But I can't complain about doing as well as I felt I did in this race. Definitely feeling much stronger. I was able to catch back up several times in this race. I was even able to throw in an attack in this race and still be in it at the end, ready for a sprint finish. So definitely feeling much, much better about my racing ability now towards the end of this year. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to do October 29th in this Max Series. So that'll be the last race. But right now, I got to see what my schedule will allow and if I'll be able to travel back again. But yeah. So let me know in the comments what you thought about the race, and if you saw anything that I could do better. But I definitely feel like this is one of the better races of the year. Especially on this course being as tough as it is, just with the hill and having some of the different undulating things that are going on. It's definitely a tougher course for most people. So definitely feel great about everything that transpired in this race. And I'm hoping to do more here coming up in the next couple weeks or so. So 7th place, I did end up with I think 1 point for USA Cycling, so that bumps me up a little bit. But if I win this race, I think that would make me a Cat 3 or just right there on the cusp of being a Cat 3. So I was right there. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. And I will see you guys on the next one.